In the face of societal collapse and environmental degradation, the presence of individuals who consume more than they produce, the so called useless eaters, become an increasingly dire issue. These individuals do not contribute meaningfully to the collective good, and their existence serves only to drain resources, perpetuating inefficiency and chaos. It's not merely a question of moral judgment, but a pragmatic imperative. When a system is on the brink of failure, it must prioritize survival and stability, and those who perpetuate imbalance must be addressed accordingly. The term useless eater describes a subset of the population whose actions, or lack thereof, contribute nothing of value to society. This is not a moral condemnation, but an observation of practical reality. These individuals do not create, innovate, or sustain. Instead, they rely entirely on external systems to provide for their needs, consuming resources without returning any form of productive effort. They do not align with the basic principles that sustain society: responsibility, growth, and mutual benefit. In such a world, those who contribute nothing are not merely irrelevant, they are dangerous. When the systems that sustain life begin to falter, every resource becomes precious. The distinction between those who add value and those who deplete it becomes critical. This is not a matter of labeling or condemnation, but of recognizing the practical implications of a situation in which resources are finite and society's very survival hinges on the efficiency of its members. At this point, to allow the useless eaters to continue existing unchecked is to condemn the whole to failure. It is an inevitability that in times of collapse, those who refuse to contribute or those whose contribution is purely destructive must be dealt with accordingly. To suggest that these individuals are not human in the sense of having inherent worth would be a misunderstanding of the term human. Humanity is not defined by the ability to consume without contributing, but by the capacity for understanding, creation, and transformation. When people choose to remain entrenched in their false selves, trapped in their egoic desires, and disconnected from the reality of the world around them, they cease to function in the most meaningful sense of the term human. They have become instruments of decay, not evolution. In such a reality, there is no ethical dilemma. The imperative to act arises from the recognition of the greater truth that the survival of the collective, the health of the system, and the continuation of meaningful life cannot be sacrificed for the whims of those who would rather consume than contribute. This is not about the imposition of force for the sake of punishment or power. It's about the restoring balance, ensuring that resources are allocated to those who will use them to further the collective good. It's about the self preservation of a society that must prioritize its future over the complacency and parasitism of a few. Dealing with useless eaters is not about vengeance. It is about taking responsibility for the world that must be preserved. It is not an emotional reaction to their existence, but a clear eyed acknowledgement of the realities of a world facing crisis. In a world where resources are scarce, where every action must be purposeful and directed towards survival and progress, those who are incapable of contributing must be sidelined or removed from the equation. It's not an optional decision, it is a necessary one for the survival of the system and the greater good. There's no room for moral hand wringing or hesitation. To delay action or to allow these individuals to remain in their state of stagnation would be to ensure that the rest of society suffers unnecessarily. The time for waiting, hoping for change, or expecting that the useless eaters will suddenly see the error of their ways is long past. In the face of urgent collapse, only decisive action, rooted in clarity of what is necessary, can halt the further damage and restore balance. This is not a question of ethics in the conventional sense, but of survival, of restoring order, and of eliminating inefficiency. The longer the balance remains tilted towards parasitism, the more severe the consequences will be for everyone else. action must be taken, not out of cruelty, but out of an unwavering commitment to truth and stability. Those who refuse to align themselves with the principles that sustain life and contribute to the collective good must be dealt with swiftly, for the longer they remain, the greater harm they cause. When the system falters, when the consequences of imbalance reach their peak, right action is not about preserving individual comforts or ideologies, but about ensuring the continuation of the whole. The removal of the useless eaters, then, becomes an act of restoration, not destruction. It's the necessary step to reclaim balance, to prioritize survival, and to ensure that every individual within the system contributes to the greater good. This is the truth of the situation. The time for waiting is over, and action must be taken accordingly.